Right now, in your home, you can hear the floor above you, the ceiling, the walls, the sounds a house makes when it breathes. You tell yourself it's the building settling. You go back to sleep. But what if it wasn't the building? What if every sound above your head, every creak, every shift, every soft footfall was a person, watching you through the cracks, listening to your children, learning your routine? The Gruber family heard those sounds. They searched the attic, found nothing, went back to bed. 6 weeks later, every single one of them was dead. 6 bodies, 1 killer, 100 years of silence. Hinterkaifeck, a farmstead carved into the Bavarian wilderness about an hour north of Munich. 1922. The nearest neighbor was not next door. They were a long, dark walk through dense forest. Andreas Gruber, 63, ran the land with an iron fist. His wife, Cecilia, was 72. Their daughter, Victoria, lived with them, along with her 2 children, little Cecilia, just 7 years old, and baby Josef, barely 2. A family of 6, isolated, private. Exactly the kind of place where something could go very wrong, and nobody would know for days. 6 months before the murders, the family's maid quit without warning. She refused to say exactly why, at first. Then, when pressed, she admitted it. Footsteps in the attic, night after night. Slow, deliberate, impossible to explain. She told Andreas. He searched, found nothing, dismissed it as imagination. She left anyway and never came back. The family hired a replacement. That replacement, Maria Baumgartner, arrived on March 31st, 1922. It was her very first day on the job. She was dead before morning. Less than a week before the murders, Andreas walked outside and stopped dead. There were footprints in the fresh snow. They came from the edge of the dark forest. They led straight to the farm. And they stopped. No footprints leading back. Not a single one. Whatever came out of that forest toward this family's home, it never left. Andreas told his neighbors. One even offered him a gun. He refused it. He went back inside. He never called police. He simply locked the door and went to bed. Above him, in the attic, something listened to him turn the key. Think about the patience this required. Weeks, maybe longer, sleeping in a cold attic above a family, listening to every conversation, every argument, every bedtime, learning when Andreas woke up, learning when the children went to sleep. A stranger's newspaper appeared inside the house, one nobody had purchased. The house keys went missing. Small signs that something was wrong. Each one dismissed. Each one explained away. The family heard the footsteps. They felt the wrongness. Every instinct told them something was off, and every morning they talked themselves out of it. That is the most human detail in this entire story. March 31st, 1922. Evening. Maria arrived and settled in. The family ate dinner. The children went to bed. The farm grew quiet. Then, one by one, the killer began to move. Not all at once. He was careful, methodical. Andreas was called to the barn first, then Cecilia, then Victoria, then little Cecilia, just 7 years old, pulled from the warmth of the house into the cold, dark barn. Each one struck with the same weapon, a mattock, a heavy farming tool. Then he went back inside for baby Josef and Maria. He did not rush. He had all night. He had already waited weeks. Here is the detail that breaks people. Little Cecilia was 7 years old. The blow did not kill her immediately. She survived the initial strike and lay in the dark barn, surrounded by the bodies of her grandparents and her mother, conscious and in unbearable pain. Forensic investigators found the evidence of this when they examined the scene days later. She had torn out fistfuls of her own hair. The autopsy noted bald patches across her small scalp. She had been lying there for hours, alone in the cold and the dark, slowly dying. No one came. No one knew. She pulled at her own hair until she was gone. Here is what the neighbors saw over the next 3 days. Smoke rising from the chimney every morning, the livestock fed on schedule, the dog moving freely through the yard, a house that looked, from the outside, exactly like a house where people were living, because someone was maintaining it. The killer had moved in. He cooked in the kitchen. He slept in the beds. He kept the fire burning. He tended to the animals. He lived out the daily routine of a family he had just murdered for 3 full days, until the neighbors finally grew concerned and came to check. He was already gone by then.
In 2007, students from a German police academy reopened the Hinterkaifeck case using modern criminal investigation techniques. They spent months analyzing the evidence, all of it. The footprints, the attic findings, the behavioral patterns, the suspect list. At the end of their investigation, they reached a conclusion. They believed they knew who the killer was. They had a name. And then they made a decision that has haunted the true crime world ever since. They refused to release it. Their reason? The killer's descendants still lived in the region. The name stayed in the file. The file stayed closed. 100 years of murder, protected by courtesy. The farmhouse was demolished in 1923. Nobody would live there. The land has been empty ever since. The victims' skulls were sent to Munich for forensic study during the investigation. Somewhere in the chaos of World War II, they were lost. No grave, no remains, no justice. 100 years of snow has fallen on that field. A small concrete memorial marks where the house stood. 6 names carved into stone. And somewhere, inside a locked police file in a Bavarian archive, there is a name. One name. The name of the person who hid above a family, waited, and then took everything from them. You just don't get to know it.